Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, the Traveling Butthole. Welcome back to another video. I don't know why I call myself the Traveling Butthole. We are here in Washington Square Park in New York City in Greenwich Village, one of my favorite places in the city. It is an absolutely beautiful day today. It's a nice spring day, everything's green, people are partying out on the street, people are enjoying it, the weather, the heat. And today we're gonna be talking about why you should move to New York City. I feel like there's a lot of people that might tell you why you shouldn't move to New York City because a lot of people have lived here for years. But I kind of want to tell you guys, as somebody who's recently moved here, why you should move here as well, because I think the city has a lot to offer, especially for somebody new. But before we jump into any of that, I want to make sure that you guys subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single video, because I have a bunch of videos about this city. I've been covering basically neighborhoods and boroughs all about the city, so you don't want to miss a single video. I've been making guides about all the beautiful places you can find in New York City. As well, today's video is sponsored by the awesome Squarespace. Squarespace is your all-in-one web building solution for you to build a beautiful website, especially if you've never built a website before. They got some amazing templates, but more on them after. Before we do anything else, let's roll the intro. Hi, welcome back from our commercial break. Thank you for joining us. So, I thought it would be cool. I've got a little list on my phone of like some talking points I wanted to talk to you guys. This video is essentially, the goal of it is to try to convince you to move to New York City. Now, I'm not saying that for everybody. The city is definitely not for everybody, and I don't think that you specifically watching right now have to move to the city. But if this place is a little bit on your mind and you're thinking about potentially coming out here one day, there's a lot the city has to offer for the average Joe, and I think it's a great place for you to come and try out. As well, during this video, there's gonna be a lot of footage overlaid from my past couple adventures of the 6 months that I've been living here. So if you see anything that points your eye, just scroll back on my channel and see I got a bunch of awesome videos all about New York City. The number one thing that I want to jump into before we begin is kind of like the price of New York City. I made a whole video on how expensive New York City is, and a lot of you guys really enjoyed that video. But I do want to talk for a second about this city's possibilities of being cheap. A lot of people have this misconception that New York is super expensive, and yes, it is rated one of the most expensive cities in the world. There are opportunities to make living here very, 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 very cheap. So I want to let you know that if you've been thinking about moving here and you're scared of how expensive it could potentially be, I'm here to tell you personally that I think you can live here for very, very, very cheap. You'll have to penny pinch on every little thing, but it's not the end of the world. And the city is definitely not like a death sentence when it comes to money. Let's move on to our next little talking point. Good food. Now, if you're a foodie and you're looking for a place to live that has delicious food, look no further than New York City. I can tell you, I've been to most major cities in the United States, and I can confidently say that this city has the best food across the US just because of the amount of diversity that's here, whether it's ethnic diversity or the diversity in cuisine. You're gonna have so many different people bringing food from all kinds of different walks of life, from all around the globe, bringing it right here to one city. Everything is super accessible, and like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of cheap eats as well that taste really delicious in your mouth hole, and you're just gonna enjoy every moment here. So if you're really looking for a place to immerse yourself and to try new foods all the time, to really kind of step out of your comfort zone culinarily and kind of experience what it's like to try different foods from around the world, you can do that every single day in New York City. Let's talk about the people for a moment here in New York City, the incredible people of the city. I think the diversity of the city, the ethnic diversity in the city, is what makes the people so amazing here. In addition, there's also this sort of mood in New York City that everybody's kind of hustling or suffering together. And it's not like a real suffering, but it's sort of like a struggle that everyone's doing together. It's this sort of hustle mentality where you have to wake up and work and be motivated and get the job done. And when you see people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds, you know, coming together in one place and doing that, it makes it really amazing. And it seems that New Yorkers really kind of understand each other. People tend to kind of understand each other in this city, and there's this sort of like mutual respect between a lot of New Yorkers. The city's not perfect. That's not saying that every single person here is amazing, but generally, for being such a big city, this place is really easy to come and make friends, to meet new people, as well as to be isolated and to kind of grind on your own. So it gives you that option, that diversity of decisions when it comes to people. Next kind of talking point we got here is that it feels like a movie being in New York City. We've mentioned this before. We made a whole video on the Avengers locations in New York City. Literally every square corner of the city has been in some sort of movie or TV show or comic book or song or something. It just constantly feels like you're walking around a movie set here. Literally the park that I've been sitting in right now shooting this video has been in, I think, 5 movies that I can count off the top of my head. this neighborhood, Greenwich Village, has had 4 or 5 super famous TV shows shot in it. Next kind of point is that there's always something going on. The city is really alive. And that comes into every single aspect, whether that's the nightlife or the work life, whether you're on public transportation or eating at a restaurant. The city is like living and breathing. It's a real living and breathing system. You're never not gonna have something to do in New York. That was one of the main reasons I moved to New York. It's just that there's so much going on here. There's so many options to always be out doing something. When I eventually leave this place, I'm definitely gonna have some serious FOMO when I see my friends that are hanging out here doing certain things or seeing something on the news that's going on in New York, because you really start feeling like everything's accessible, but there's just so much going on. I think that this city is fantastic for networking. It was also a big reason as to why I came out here. For me personally, being a YouTuber, being able to come and network with the YouTube community here in New York City was a big part of it. I wanted to come meet different creators that were living here in the city, creating content, or just meeting people that are coming through the city, because this is such a central hub for a lot of people around the world. Just being able to meet people who are passing through makes it even better, because there's just so many options to meet different people from all different walks of life. And this goes really well, especially if you're like working in a desk job at a cubicle, or if you're trying to start your own business. If you're doing something, maybe starting your own business is a little difficult here, but it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Just coming out here for a base of networking and getting to meet all kinds of people from around the world, it's a very valuable thing. Okay, last one that I kind of want to mention before we jump into our sponsored bit of this episode is it's fantastic for content creation. The last kind of real reason that I moved to New York was to step out of my content creation boundaries and to challenge myself to create videos every day and make something that really, you know, appeals to me. And this city, personally, as a filmmaker, as a photographer, as a painter, no matter what you are, what kind of artistic background or creative background you come from, this city is unlike any other place on earth to accomplish those goals. To come and zone in your creativity from the different museums to the different restaurants to the different street artists that you're gonna see on the street, this is the place to come, tone in, feel that creative flow, and really gauge yourself. And I can say personally, as a YouTube creator, if you're thinking about moving to this city, if you have even sort of an inchling of desire to come out here, I highly, highly recommend it if you can make it happen. When I eventually leave here, I think the one thing that I'll grab from this place is that I think it's a really great place for anybody, no matter what your background is, to live in for some period of time. It's unlike any other place on earth, and I strongly, strongly believe that. With that being said, I want to tell you guys a little bit about our sponsor for today's episode, Squarespace. So Squarespace, in regards to creativity, like we've been talking about in our last talking point, Squarespace for you is the ultimate platform to build a website, a web store, a blog, whatever it is. Squarespace is your all-in-one solution for that. They have super easy web building tools that just take a few clicks to have a website up and running, as well as their award-winning templates that help any creative that's building a website or a blog or a store make something that's professional. I've mentioned this before in another video, but for me, when I first started a website, it was a terrifying process. I had no idea what I was doing. Learning how to build a website and claiming your domain and all the little intricacies that come with that can be really, really overwhelming. And what I love about Squarespace, especially for you guys watching who might be thinking about opening up your first website or blog or something, I think being able to work with Squarespace to create that all under one roof, under one platform, making it super, super easy for you to do is just the smartest thing you could possibly do, especially when you're first starting out. So many people use Squarespace and trust it, so I think you should as well. Just to throw a little idea for you guys, they have this really cool feature called Geo Tagging, where you can literally tag the location within different posts and things on your website to where you are in the world. So let's say you're moving to New York. You want to start a blog or a website all about moving to New York City, your tips to moving to New York City. You can tag the different neighborhoods, the different city streets that you're in right here in New York on the website using that Geo Tag feature. As well, Squarespace has a mobile app that lets you use their platform on mobile. Using Squarespace to access all that stuff online on your phone is the top thing you could possibly do. And I absolutely love Squarespace for that. So make sure that if you want to sign up for your first website, domain, store, webpage, blog, whatever it is, you use my code in the description, squarespace.com/thetravelingclat, and sign up for your own website or domain and start making a professional, freaking beautiful website. And we love you, Squarespace. Thanks for sponsoring another video. You guys are great. We love Squarespace. I always mention to you guys to support these sponsors that support us. Wait, who are you?
So you're the traveling butthole now? Did I miss something?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my boy Jon Barr from Here Be Barr. Scooch in here. What are you doing here?
I was just walking through the park and I saw you talking about New York and I figured I'd drop in.
Well, thanks so much for dropping in. You want to give us some knowledge about living in New York City and if somebody should move to New York City?
For most people, there's something that draws you in to New York City living, to really big city living, unless you're here just because your job transferred you. If you came here under your own volition. If you had a specific ambitious reason to move to New York City, then there's something deeper there. It's like you need to have a lot of energy surrounding you. You're looking for a really big life change and you're coming from a much smaller place. There are a few cities in the United States where you can experience as many things all the time as New York City. And every time I leave here, it's one of those spots where I just can't wait to come home, even from a vacation.
First and foremost, I'm gonna ask John a super serious question about moving to New York City in a second, but
yeah,
I wanna make sure that you guys check out his channel before anything else, because John is like your quintessential New York City travel YouTuber.
Thank you.
He's a big reason as to why I moved out here as well. He was actually one of the convincing factors, and he's convinced me to try to stay here as well.
Trying.
Longer, and I succeeded because I ended up staying here 6 months when I was only gonna be here for like a month or two. But make sure that you guys are checking out John's channel down in the description below. I'm sure that a lot of you guys know him, but if you wanna learn more about New York City, more in depth, all kinds of things, you check out his channel. Let's ask you this. If you had to narrow down to one thing, give somebody one reason, and you can take a second to think about this,
okay,
but one reason to move to New York City, what would that reason be?
I would say you thrive on the energy. There are few places in this world, especially in the United States, where there is an electricity about living here, where every day you can find a new adventure and you're just looking to meet a lot of new people. I think a lot of ambitious folks move here, and if you think that you can thrive in a competitive, fast-paced environment, if you just have this itch, if you're curious, then I think New York is definitely the best place for you.
Do you remember, because you're not originally from New York, like you weren't born
I
and
grew up
raised
across the river in New Jersey.
What was your main motivation to like move here? Do you remember the specific reason that you moved here?
I have a weird reason, although it's not that weird. My twin brother was pursuing acting at the time, and we used to go to New York all the time anyway, so he wanted me to be his roommate to save money. So I essentially had an opportunity to live with somebody in New York, and I didn't hesitate for a moment. I think I always knew deep down that I would be living in New York City in some point in my life. The opportunity presented itself, I leapt on it, I'm still here, and I have no plans of leaving. So if you have an opportunity to move to New York, highly recommend you take it.
I think that's actually such a beautiful point, what you just mentioned, because I think a lot of this city, a lot of the great things that happen to you, whether it's different events or whatever that's going on once you're actually here, is all based on opportunity and jumping on that opportunity. A lot of things, whether it was sneaking into the Chinese New Year parade or going to the premiere of Detective Pikachu or running around in a snow squall, whatever the heck that was, a lot of living in the city for me personally has been jumping on the different opportunities that present themselves. So particularly if you're looking to move here, put yourself in a position where you can find opportunities to potentially get here. Things like that, potentially a roommate looking for a place to stay that needs to share rent. Ask your friends, ask your family, ask people that you know that be here, that live here, join Facebook groups, whatever it is. Find a way to come out here if it's something that you really want to do. And I think that's kind of a good point to end off. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, if you like pizza, it's a good city.
Amen. That's a great way to end it. All right, guys. I hope that this video gave you some sort of inspiration and insight. I feel like a lot of you guys have kind of been itching for a video like this for my channel. John's actually made a video just like this on his channel, but make sure you check out his channel regardless of that video. He's awesome. Thanks so much for joining some insight today. I also want to say a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Guys, once again, use my link in the description down below, squarespace.com/atravelingclat. Support a brand that's supporting me. And if you guys want to support this channel in other ways as well, you can check out my merchandise. It'll be on screen right now in the description below. Get this fresh Traveling Clat summer merchandise. Look at this Hawaiian shirt. It's not for sale yet, but this one is. Just get it on the Traveling Clat in this description. All right, I'm rambling. We'll see you guys in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, Clats.